The following program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.
Hey there, everybody, and welcome to the Happiness Jungle TV show with yours truly, your Chief Happiness Officer, Lyn-Dee Eldridge. I am more than stoked today because I am in our home studio in Nashua, New Hampshire, sitting with my co-host, Cami Baker. And today we want to talk to you about not allowing your past to dictate your future. If anything, we want you to use your past to fuel you, to become everything and more that you want to become. So that's what Cami and I are going to be sharing with you today. And I could not be more excited to be sitting across from Cami versus on screen, different screens with Cami. So Cami, it's good to see you. It's good to be here with you. And, thank you for everything that you do, not only for yourself, not only for your clients, but also for the Happiness Jungle TV show, because you really stepped in when I needed you the most.
Well, to go into the theme that you have chosen for today,
Yes.
2 years ago, when I had gone through a really, really rough patch, and we don't want to let our past dictate our future, you saw I was a mess, and you said, all right, let's put our big girl panties on, let's fix ourselves, come on the show. And I came on the show, and then a few months later, when your mother was in a situation where you needed to be with her, and I was able to step in as your co-host, I was just beyond honored that, having seen what a mess I had become, you were like, you know what? You're back.
Yeah.
You're back with a vengeance. You're back to help and to really, serve those that you're here to serve. And I want you to help with the show. So thank you for having trust in me.
Are you kidding me? And that's a great place to start, if that's okay with you. Okay. When you came back from a very dark situation, and I remember that day like if it was yesterday. I remember you sending me a text, I'm back in New Hampshire. That evening, I was doing a dream board event. Do you remember that?
Barely.
Up in Amherst. Up in Amherst.
Yeah.
And I said, Cami, just come. And you were an emotional wreck at that point. But here's why I was so proud of you, because you showed up. You showed up and you started surrounding yourself with the positivity again. And that night was extremely hard on you. And I remember because I was watching you very, very carefully because I could feel it. I could feel the sorrow, the loss, everything that was going on within your body. And I knew that you weren't 100%, but I knew that we could get you 100% back.
Well, they say that things don't happen to you. They happen for you.
That's right.
They happen because of you.
Yeah.
They happen through you. So when you think about that, so many people could be in a situation like that in a very negative, hostile personal relationship. And they could be in the oh was me and not have another relationship and be afraid and all of that. But I looked at it as, I put myself out there. No risk, no reward.
Right.
And I risked it all. And I didn't get the reward I was looking for. But, I always look for, what can I get out of that situation? It is not a failure as long as we learn and grow from it. And a couple of things that I got from that situation, first of all, I've always been very independent, straight shooter, do what I say what I do. And I had met women over the years and men who had been in very controlling, dominating relationships. And if I said to the person, hey, let's go dancing, or let's go to this networking event, or let's go do something, if she were to say, oh, I can't do that. I have to go home. I would always say, girl, put on your big girl panties and just come on.
That's right.
But after that situation I was in, I have a lot more compassion for people. I know what it's like to be in a situation like that.
Yeah.
I'm not as quick to judge others. And being that free spirit that I've always been, when you have your freedom taken away, boy, do you appreciate it when you get it back. I felt like a bird whose wings had been cut, and I wasn't able to fly. And I told this person that, I said, you are sucking the life out of my body. My soul is leaving me.
Yeah.
You have got to let me breathe. And because he wouldn't let me breathe,
Right.
it was either be completely consumed by that person and just let myself disappear,
Right.
or get out and save myself. And I chose the latter, and that's why we're here.
Yeah, and I love that. You know, my first book, Tears of Fears Behind Closed Doors, I speak about the domestic violence that I was not only brought into it at the age of 18, I married into it. And I speak about how to get out safely. And if you feel like you're chained to love, you should not be chained to love. You should be linked to love. There's complete difference in that, right? So if any of our viewers feel like you are literally chained, you know, that like handcuffs, and you want it so badly, the love, and yet you're not able to receive it because it's not coming to you.
Well, I had a friend of mine during that time. I was very sequestered. I wasn't allowed to talk to my friends. It wasn't that this person said, you can't do it, but they had a very manipulative way of letting me know the consequences if I were to do something. I was never told you can't do it, but I knew that if I did, I knew the repercussion of it. So I just flat out didn't do stuff, including me starting to not look people in the eye. I remember being at the gym and just looking down and not looking people as we passed in the hallway because I was afraid the guy I was with would say, how do you know them? Why are you looking at them?
Do you like them?
Yeah. What
do you want them?
Do you want them? Oh, is that who you're texting late at night? So I just quit even looking people in the eye. But this person said to me, Cami, that's not love.
Right.
I don't know what that is, what it is that you've got going on there, but it's just not love. And, you know, when we talked about this topic for the show, I kind of was thinking of, you know, when I was adopted and growing up and my alcoholism and all that. But I'm kind of glad we've spun into this because it just goes to show people have said to me, how can someone like you get pulled into something like that? You think of somebody that's weak or weak-minded or just doesn't have self-worth or whatever, being consumed into a relationship like that. But any of us, and to your point, we just want to be loved.
Yeah.
We just want love. And instead of being embarrassed about the choices that I made, frankly, I'm proud of them. It just goes to show how much of a human being I am, how much I do have feelings, how much I do want to be loved, that I was willing to go to that extreme to find it. And frankly, I'm not jaded and I'm still looking for it.
Yeah, I love that. And you don't know what goes on behind closed doors. So you weren't physically abused. You were mentally abused. And I speak about that in my book because when you're mentally abused, you don't see it coming. You don't even know it's happening. And all of a sudden you fall into the pattern of saying, I'm sorry a lot. That's one of the first clues that there's something not right here. And when you say that, you know, you went to the gym and instead of being Cami, who looks up and wants to just greet everybody just with a friendly hello and brighten everybody's day, it was taken from you silently. And you just wanted to avoid any confrontations and any consequences that were going to happen because the other person had a challenge. It was his challenge, but he went ahead and made it your challenge.
Well, and I learned a new term because of all that called gaslighting.
Yes.
And so for our viewers too, you know, if you find that you're in a relationship where you're questioning your own sanity, maybe he is right. So for me, I wasn't saying I'm sorry, but I was questioning everything that I said and did. I started thinking, well, he was in a 20-year marriage and I've only been in 5-year relationships. Maybe he does know how a relationship works. Maybe this is what it's like to be in a long-term relationship. Maybe I am crazy, or he would say something to me and then when I would bring up that he said it, he would say, I didn't say that. You know, to the point, and the first couple of times I thought, yeah, you did. But then I got to thinking, well, maybe you didn't.
Right. See, so it's that mental, slow abuse that happens. You could see a fist. You could see a fist. You could see something being thrown at you. You know it, you know, and then you bruise on the outside.
Well, and for those who have been physically beat, I hope that you don't take this the wrong way, but I often thought, I wish he would just punch me.
Right.
Because if he punched me, people would see the black eye and they would know what was going on.
Yeah.
But because it was so malicious.
Yes.
And so manipulative. On the outside, everybody loved him. He ran the
Right.
town. Everybody worked for him, or their friends worked for him, or they bought from his store, whatever. Like, he ran that town. Everybody loved him. And the sick thing is, I loved him too.
Yes.
But the manipulation was just, I could just feel myself disappearing.
Well, you ran away. You literally packed your car. You had a small car.
Yeah, Fiat, smallest car they make.
Smallest car, and you said, I don't care what I leave behind. I just got to pack the things that are the necessity. And you fled. And Cami, it's funny because when we bring that up, I was physically abused. I was mentally abused. I was all of it, So when you say, you wish that he would have punched you so somebody would have recognized it, well, guess what you would have done? You would have had an excuse.
Oh, yeah.
I fell. I can't believe I hit my head like that,
Yeah.
Or the bruise on my arm. I was such a klutz that day.
Yeah.
There is
see that.
yeah. So whether it's physical abuse or mental abuse, they're both bad. They're both bad. But mental abuse, because I know that for a fact, it just came, I didn't see it happening. I felt it happening, but I felt like I was a little girl who just wanted to be approved and loved. So I kept on doing things to try not to get yelled at, to get the approval. And it was never coming, because once I did that thing, then it became something else. And it was a constant battle and then you become into the trap of not liking yourself. You're not sure of yourself. You don't want to look in the mirror anymore. So I remember when you were with that person, and Cami, you were doing videos like non-stop prior to you leaving the state of New Hampshire, prior to you moving into another state with this man, right? And then I didn't see you anymore. But then I would see you doing videos with him. I knew right there, because I know you, because I'm attached to you that way, that there's something not right there. There's just something not right.
Well, the show's gone in a little bit different direction. But for those who are watching, if you're in a relationship where, with this person, if I went to take a picture, he was in every picture.
Right.
And if I tried to take a picture by myself, the question of, well, why would you need a picture without me? You're my true love. If we're together, you should never need a picture without, who are you going to send that to?
Right.
Why would you post a picture of yourself on Facebook without me? What, are you trying to let people know that you're available? Just all this manipulation. And even, we went to pick up a car that was part of an auction that was happening. And we rode together, and I got in this cute little convertible to drive it back because we were auctioning it off. Cute little car. And I wanted to do a Facebook Live to promote the car and how much fun it is to drive it. But I dared not do a Facebook Live by myself for fear of the repercussion of, you did that by yourself. Who do you want to see you by yourself? Why did you wait till I wasn't with you to do that? And it was just all these things that were happening. If you have someone that is manipulating you to that point, there's something wrong with that. And one of the reasons he didn't want me to talk to my friends and when I got there, I wasn't allowed to make friends. The only people I hung out with were he and his friends, and I couldn't even hang out with them unless he was there. And I wasn't allowed to talk to people here. Once again, he didn't say you can't, but if I got on the phone with somebody, I would be berated with questions about, what's so important about that? We're together. If you need to take time away from me to go talk to someone else, are you making money? Are you making us money? Like, why would you even be talking to them? And I realized when it was all said and done that one of the reasons he didn't want me talking to people was because when I did, they would say things like, you're doing what?
Right.
He said, what?
Time will either expose you or promote you, and he was afraid of being exposed.
And one thing that he said on a daily basis was, are you talking about me? Hey, I saw you over there with a customer. Did you talk about me? You can't go to yoga, because if you go to yoga, you're going to be friends with those women, and women talk about men, and you're going to talk about me. So we don't want to let our past dictate our future.
Right. So how did it fuel you?
So how did it fuel me? Well, I tell you, experiences help you to see what you want and what you don't want.
Right.
And I'll certainly see those signs next time. Frankly, I'm still open, and I still know that I deserve love and I want love. And at the same time, I start to notice very quickly if there's dominating or controlling statements made in the first couple of days. I'm like, whoa, red flag, red flag.
Right. And let's talk about that for a second, because change is very, very difficult. Okay. So, I'm really thrilled that this is the way the show went. Neither one of us knew where this was going to go, but I am absolutely thrilled that this is where it is, because now we want to talk about, okay, we are going to get out of this relationship, and there is a way. Okay, number one, there's a lot of 800 lines, support lines. Please call them. Please speak. You're talking to people that have been there and want to help you get out of it safely. That's number one. Number two is that it makes you so conscious of your next relationship. Now, prior to you ending that relationship and starting a new relationship, I am asking everybody out there to take a break from a relationship and learn about you. Learn about what it is that you want to do. What are you passionate about? What do you love to do? And then I want you to go out and do those things. I want you to learn about you. I want you to fall in love with you so much that you feel like somebody else is loving you.
And don't be hung up on why did he do that?
Right.
His issue, what he or she, whatever
That's
your
right.
situation. Yeah, we want to talk about it. We want to vent it. We want to get it out. But for me, I needed to look at what was my part in this.
Right. You have to take ownership.
Ownership.
Yep.
What did I do to, now, don't get me wrong, if someone punches you in the face, you shouldn't sit around thinking, wow, I deserve that. That's not what I'm saying. But what was going on in me that had me see red flags,
Right.
but dismiss them, and to move forward anyway? What was so desperate in me that I wanted love so badly that I would do and put up with certain things, you know? And how can I learn from that and not let it happen again?
Right, exactly. So it's very difficult when you are starting a new relationship and you're attracted to somebody. And things are going very nicely for the first few days, for the first few weeks. You're hearing things that are kind, and they're nice, and they're present. And then within a matter of time, and I don't know how long that time is, it could be weeks, it could be months, but all of a sudden, here comes time will either promote you or expose you. And the person isn't showing up for you as much as they were. And now you're chasing it again. You're falling back into the pattern, right?
I've heard it said that if there's something that you feel like you need to say, and you don't want to say it, that's the thing you should say.
Yes.
And if there are things that person is doing that you're not telling your friends, then there's a problem with that. If there's something going on in your relationship and you're afraid or embarrassed to talk to your friends about it, what's that all about?
Yeah.
You know, because when I did talk to my friends, I didn't want them to know that I couldn't go to yoga class.
Right.
Like Cami Baker couldn't do a Facebook Live by herself.
Right.
Couldn't go to the bathroom by myself. There were no doors inside the home.
Wow.
And when I would go to the bathroom, he would go with me.
Right. It's crazy, right? So the first thing that we all have to understand is communication is power. And when we learn, I teach a lot of people about communication and how to respond and not react, how to pause and not say what's on your mind. Just duct tape thy mouth and leave it alone, and just because the more that when you're in a situation, when you're in an argument, when two people start arguing and it turns into a yelling match, nobody hears anybody. So I want us to be able to truly control our part, and that is communication. So I know with my former first husband, and he's known as Anus in the Tears of Fears Behind Closed Doors books, because that's exactly what he is. And you know what's really funny, Cami? People don't change, right? You think people change. People don't change. So I was his second wife, and then he got married a third time and a fourth time. But his third wife and myself are very close now, where he kept us separate because he didn't want her to meet me. He didn't want her to see that his wife was really a nice woman, right? The mother of his daughter, right? He didn't want that. So what she heard about me wasn't kind. But then guess what? He started to expose himself. I gave her my book after we met, and she called me after she read it. She said, I just read my life. I just read my story with him. I said, I know you did. And she has grown so much since she's also let go of the poison, right? But communication is so on your side if you allow it to be.
Well, communication is key, and I like to bring a lot of different flavors to the buffet.
Yeah.
Because on one hand, you said, watch what you're saying. You want to choose.
You don't want to trigger him. You don't want to trigger the person.
You want to choose words. You want to respond, not react. And also, on the flip side of that, I found myself completely unable to talk. Me, right? So we would have it wasn't even really an argument. It was him telling me the law and what was going to happen and trying to get me to talk, but I felt like I was... I couldn't get a word out.
Yeah.
I would sit on that couch for an hour and have him talking at me.
Right.
And me just completely shut down. My whole body language changes when I even think about being in that place. And whether I had something to say and I just couldn't find the right words, or whether I was just completely dumbfounded, I was like, I don't know what I can say.
Right.
Anything I say is going to be picked apart. Nothing is going to be right. It's all going to be pulled the wrong way. And I would just sit there in silence for an hour. And when I needed to get up and go to the bathroom, I would have to tell him, I have to go to the bathroom. I'll be right back. I'm not leaving. I'm not leaving the conversation, because for him, you couldn't just say, you know what? I need to think about this. I just need a break. I need to go get some air. If I went outside when we were having a conversation, it was me leaving him, leaving the conversation, avoiding this. And you know what? Sometimes you need to go take a drive.
Right.
You need to be able to breathe. You need to be able to think.
Right.
So if you're in a relationship with someone who won't let you leave the room during a conversation, there's a problem with that.
There's a challenge with that. So let's turn this around, okay?
Yeah.
Because I want to leave our audience with ways to, number one, be aware, and I want them to be happier, and I want them to realize that life is absolutely fabulous when you're not in prison.
Yep, 1,000%.
Right? Because I know once I left my domestic violence situation, the world started changing. So let's talk about that, okay? So after my relationship, okay, I knew that I also needed to change my playground, because my playground was also associated with combination of friends. Well, I knew that probably wasn't really a great place for me to be, because then you wish you run into them. And you just do. I mean, it's the craziest thought, but you do, right? Because it's human nature. So the first thing that I want to recommend to everybody is find a new playground. Find people that don't know you. Find people that are going to get to know you, so you get to start a brand new beginning. And there's a lot of ways to do that. Meetup.com, you could get on there. You can list all of the things that you love to do: kayaking, swimming, knitting, skiing, business, right? Anything.
I love that you bring this up, because every time I get interviewed, when people say, what's that pearl of wisdom? What's that thing you want to leave with our viewers or our listeners? I always say, change your playground and change your playmates.
Yes.
Usually it's from the perspective of, if you want to be an entrepreneur, then hang out with entrepreneurs.
Right.
If you want to be a positive person, hang out with positive people. But even in this situation, it's so hard for people, but it's really one of the easiest things to do, is to change your playground and playmates. So to your point, meetup.com, there's so many ways. And for me, even recently, 30 days ago, I started working in Worcester. I got a couple of clients there, having a little bit of fun over there. I said, I want to meet a lot of people. So I started the Bra Drive.
Right.
We celebrate your breast cancer survivorship every October. It's Breast Cancer Awareness Month. I like to do the Bra Drive. It's fun. And now I've changed my playgrounds, changed my playmates, specifically in another town. So when people say, well, I've got all these friends, what do you want me to do? Dump my friends? No, guess what? There's plenty of time in the world, plenty of places to go where you can meet and hang out with new people.
Yeah.
So go volunteer someplace.
Right.
Go volunteer at an animal shelter.
Boy, that is,
Right?
if you're an animal lover.
Or a nursing home.
Or any place.
Or with
a school,
kids.
preschool, whatever
Kids.
it is that's going to bring you that full of joy, right? And, when I moved back to the South Florida area, I went back to meetup.com, because I knew that I wanted to build my business down there, which, thank God, it's growing beautifully, right? It's doing very, very well. But I also wanted people to play with, because I enjoy life. So I went ahead and I put in, people that walk, walk or kayak, or so I went ahead, and it tells you they're meeting at such a place at such a time, and you go, and everybody welcomes you because that's what it's for.
Well, you know, even for me being an alcoholic in recovery, I don't go to the 12-step programs all the time like I did at one point. But when I get to a new area, I go find some meetings because those are like-minded people. And as an addict, when I'm with other addicts who are in recovery, it doesn't matter what state I'm in, what country I'm in. I always, if I walk in that church basement or that conference room, or even in Las Vegas, they have them in hotel rooms. When I walk in there, I'm with my people and I feel at home. I went to Key West about 3 years ago. I was doing a book tour. My book had just come out. I was in Miami. I rented a car. I drove down to Key West. I was seeing another narcissist at the time, and I felt so alone. He wasn't coming to visit like he said he would. And for 4 days in Key West, I went to AA meetings.
Okay.
Morning and afternoon, I went to these AA, just gave me an hour with people that I wasn't alone.
Right.
I just had people that I could communicate with. I could talk about why I was in Key West, etc. And when I left and went and walked the boulevard, I wasn't alone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful thing. Beautiful thing. So we only have another minute or so. So number one, call the 800 number. If you're really having the challenge and you know that you are having a challenge in your relationships, please start calling an 800 number.
If you even think you're having a challenge, you're having a challenge.
Yeah, if you're thinking it, it's happening. Okay, so that's number one. Number two, get to meetup.com on social media and go out and meet new people, whatever those people are for you. You know, even if you have young children, there are play dates on there. So, I mean, there's everything, roller skating. I mean, you name it, it's out there. And I know that because of my past that has fueled me to become who I am today, which is the Chief Happiness Officer. And my mission is to help people live a happier, more joyful life, because I never said that life was easy, but I did say that you can be happier. And that is the God's honest truth. And I know I am watching you grow. I am, Cami, you are known all over the New England area and beyond because of who you are. You're very, very authentic. It's because of everything that you went through. So for everybody that's listening to us today, I want you to think about your passion. I want you to think about your past. If you want to contact me, if you want to contact Cami, we are very easy to find on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Lyn-Dee Eldridge, Cami Baker, Happiness Jungle, Mingle to Millions. We are here for you. And if you are ready, we will help you with the right direction so you could fuel your tomorrow. What else you got to say? You got 3 seconds.
Change your playgrounds and playmates, whether it's meetup or wherever you want to go. Find the people. Whoever has what you want, find them and hang out with them.
Amen. Bye, everybody. Have a happy today and tomorrow. It's all up to you.
The preceding program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.